said hello, 'cause I said hello. Hello. I said hello multiple times. I don't really care if you say hello back. That it would be a little weird if you actually said hello. Like if you audibly wait a wait a fucking second. What? Wait a second. Sorry. I've just seen something that I need to check. What? What? Who the fuck is that? Sorry. Sorry. I just got very confused for a second. Because, okay, I'll explain it. On on Friday, the follow count was 149. I know one person had to make a new account, right? Don't know where the other person came from. It just appeared. Maybe TikTok's finally working. No, I doubt that for some. Oh shit. Um, Piff told me to send them a message because I've meant to send them a message for the last couple. Oh. And a little smiley face. I I got my glasses, right? I got my glasses. Very fun. I'm enjoying them a lot. Um, I've had one person be like, "Yeah, yeah, brown glasses suit you a lot." No, I've had like three people. I've had three people come up to me and basically say that with my last glasses, I was just uglier. Which, you know what? I would have appreciated the sentiment, a year ago or 3 years ago when I first got them. The round glasses. Do you want to know a really awkward? Not really awkward. It wasn't that awkward, right? But when I was going to get my glasses, I had put on um either black or grey jeans, I don't remember. Um and I put on one of my favorite jumpers. It's a yellow jumper. It is one of the softest things I own. It's not even that soft. I have an emotional attachment to it. It was £3 and I love it. I love it. And it is genuinely quite warm. I adore it with my whole heart. And then I looked in the mirror for the first time in ages. I was like, my hair looks like dog shit. So I put on a hat. It was a red hat. And so we get into town and I'm with my sister and we drop something into a shop and then we start walking towards the shop that has my glasses. And I just kind of stop for a second and I'm like, shit. Because they're round glasses. I would just like to say I'm coming for Wilbersoot's brand. I'm coming for it. Not even on purpose. It's my branding now. I don't. You know how fucking awkward that is? But yeah, so I now have glasses. I have the right prescription and everything. I also have a maths test tomorrow. Um, it is like okay. I'm enjoying I'm enjoying being able to see, right? I'm enjoying it very much. Like sight, appreciated. But I it is so horrific trying to like adjust to the glasses, right? Because I hadn't gotten new glasses in like 2, 3-ish years. So I just haven't had to get new glasses. And it's not even like both of the prescriptions changed. It's just the right lens has changed. Dramatically, but it's changed. It's the only one of the two that's had anything done to it. And you'd think, oh, this is better, right? This is better. No. No, it isn't. Because now my right eye is like, oh shit, I have to start doing work again. And my left eye is like, oh, I don't have to do all the heavy lifting. So I have a different headache on both sides of my head. It is so horrific. Adjusting to new glasses is weird. I hate it. I hate it so much. I heard I'm doing pretty okay. Like I said, a little. It's not even the worst headache. It's just like you take the glasses off and it doesn't go away. Which is like, ooh. But yeah, other than that, I'm grand. Well, stressed. I'm hella stressed, but I'm grand. You know? I'm gonna light a tea light. How are you doing, Rose? Piffle might be dropping in. They might be. They could be. Might have been here for that. Here's the really. I don't know when I'm talking to myself or not, and that has. It's simultaneously really comforting and also like, do I start talking about this thing again? Ooh, we could. Do I want to use one? I also had a stuffed nose over the weekend. Be surprised if I tell you I'm still tired? Not particularly. You know what? I think I'd be more surprised if you weren't still tired. Hello. Hello, Ice Ninja. It did take me a minute to try decipher what. Oh, I haven't even opened the game. Sorry, I got caught up in my story. We'll open Castle Crit. Sorry, yeah, reminded me that I'm supposed to be doing something here. I keep on losing my box of matches and then finding it in the weirdest place. Like, I found it in my drawer. Like, with my clothes. Why was it there? I do like the spinning beefy ice ninjas. That is quite entertaining. A good emo. I wonder why you chose the ice ninja. I wonder. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Oh. I just blew it. It's fine. It's fine. This is grand. Sorry, Castle Crashers isn't opening. Give it a minute. It'll get there eventually. That was a really smooth lighting of. But yeah, I have the fantastic ability of anxiety, so I stifle my sneezes. Even more so when you're this close to my face. Game capture. Castle. Okay. Capture specific. I thought I'd already gotten this set up. But apparently not. Oh my god, there are more? That is. Where? There's the audio. Can you hear it? I'm gonna assume yes. I love the spinning. I just love the spinning. Were there perchance 3,332 other ice ninjas before you? Is that what happened there? Also, how is the audio level? Like, how loud am I in comparison to the game? Because I can't tell that. They were all inferior to me. Audio sounds good, thank you. And I'm glad to know that you won, I guess. That's how I'm taking it. I'm taking it as you fought them all and won. I don't have anywhere to put my phone. I need to move shit from the desk. There you go. You're precariously propped. I'll probably still be able to read you. Alas, yes. We're like pretty close to the end. Yeah. But yeah, my plan for today is to beat the bosses. That might take anywhere between 10 minutes and an hour. Depends on the day, right? We'll figure out in about 5 minutes how long it's gonna take. But after that, because I don't want to start a whole new character and only get like 2 levels in, we're gonna practice some of the insane mode very much regular. I am still recovering from my last attempt at insane mode, and that was like a month and a half ago. Oh, it doesn't go well. The combination of insane mode and deciding to do really stupid challenges. I think I'm going to be forever recovering from my last castle. How far did you get? Only for 15 hours? Jesus Christ. On Ice Ninja, I got past Cyclops. Yeah, no, I got stuck on Lava World. I fucking hell. 15 hours? I don't have 15 hours. I have school. I have that delightful education to get. Lava World took me quite a bit as well. It's genuinely, it's just how long it is. To being like, oh, shouldn't use a potion here, but then you die. And then it's on regular, it would be like, oh, that's like 5 minutes of catching up. No, it is half an hour. But yeah, that's... I'll get back to it one day. I'm not saying it's gonna be soon. Maybe over the summer I'll pull like 3 all-nighters. Oh wait, over the midterm I could. As long as I didn't shout too much. Because it's just gonna be me and my sister in the house most of the time. We could. That's what... 2.5 weeks? 2 weeks. We might. I'll consider it. I'll consider my sanity. I'm not sure how long I'm willing to sit in the chair for, actually. I feel like it would be very funny, but also, goddamn, my ass would hurt. I really hope you, like, moved at all during the 15 hours. That is, ooh. My only claim to any decent playing in Castle Crashers is that once I beat it with a drawing pad. That is the best thing I have ever done. I have a really huge favorite task. Depends on the favor, but sure, go ahead. If it's shut up, I will laugh. The streaming friends is at 99. Following for 100. Sure. Sure. It took me a while to get to that. And I'm not even that far past it. But yeah, sure. Okay. How one-handed can I play this game? That is the question. Pretty one-handed. Is that... I thought that was a screaming baby for a second. Sure. Hey, I didn't even die in that time. I would say that that's pretty impressive. I would say that me not dying, thank you, not a problem. It's really painful when you get like really close to milestones and that it just doesn't happen. So yeah, I guess it. I hope they're happy. Hope it's brought them at least a tiny bit of hell yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay. How do I... Okay, so I've come into this kind of fucked, but that's alright. That's fine. Oh, I didn't know there was a clock in this room. I didn't know there was a ticking.
I'm in your castle.
I mean, I've never listened to the voice lines. Oh yeah, fuck.
I will tell you the end to record more.
Thank you for the follow. Okay, I don't... Give me a second. Because I do technically have alerts. They just don't fucking work. Yes, I am pausing them. What is... Give me a second. Because they do exist. They just fail all the time. But yes, that is very cool of you. Oh my god, I know why it didn't fucking work. Well, I don't know why the audio didn't work, but I... Because the game was on top of everything. I don't know why the audio doesn't work. I don't know. It's fine. Thank you, though. Ah! I hate my keyboard because all of the keys are fine, except for the D key. Which I find very funny, but, you know. I love the barbarian magic. It is glorious.
My precious, my youth and your soul.
Yeah, get hit, but oh, your art will be my demise. Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know, right? Just always fun to know. Considering you've hit me once. You know, it's just like, I'm really glad of the confidence that you have in your art. I'm too close. I'm not too close. Nice. Oh, that guy got too close. Oh, I love this. This is... Okay, so yeah, I'm doing... slowly, ever so slowly, possibly slower than trying insane. I am... Oh, shit. I am attempting to do, a run with no skill points, which goes well, right? It goes so well all the time. Definitely. I'm really not looking forward to Necromancer with that. Because it's like, how do you combat that? How would one go about that? Just, I couldn't imagine that. Oh, it's painful. Like, But it's like, I might be about to, I might outbeat your record of 15 hours.
It must have been something I ate.
Thank you for your... I don't know, are they his insides, or... Is that what's happening? I don't know. Ah! Sorry. Somebody sent me something and I thought it was going to be vaguely important. It wasn't, to say the least. Genuinely, I thought this music only appeared in the Cyclops, after. I've never actually had the game volume this loud for me, so I'm just noticing things. Are we ready? I have my cold coffee. He's been crying. Oh. Aw. Hell yeah. I'm glad he's happy. Oh, but yeah, I get it. I texted my brother. No, I didn't text my brother. I texted my friend who doesn't even watch streams about it. So yeah, no, it's very cool. You're a bit like 30 years old grown up now. You make it sound like he's turned 100. Oh yeah, he's gonna be in the nursing home soon. Just the way you phrased it. If he's 100, I'm a vampire. 588, fucking hell. Old fella. You're actively crumbling. Decaying as we speak. Anybody ever told you barbarian magic is shit? They're wrong. This also might just be the most I've used magic ever. Pushing for 600 before I die? Fair. I'm pushing for 153 before. One more before I perish. You follow gold. I collapse. No, but fair. 500's fucking fantastic. Me and your friend over here freaking out over fucking 100. You're over there. 600. I must. I hope you get there. Oh, I don't want to do necromancer. I don't want to. Okay. You won't best me this time. Oh, you might best me this time. The fun fact, I've been playing this game for like a decade. I still don't know how to actually juggle consistently. Like, I can shove them up against a wall and kind of keep them there, but beyond that... Yeah, if I start angrily ranting at the necromancer, it happens consistently. Ignore it. Tune it out, unless it's funny. If only Cicada could see me now. Okay, no. Never mind that. Okay, where the fuck am I? Where am I? Please help, I'm lost. Why are you grabbing me? I'm a child. Okay, that's a little dramatic, but... Stop touching me. I'll call the police. I will dial. I won't, but I don't think it's illegal, but frowned upon. You're on controller, just mash X and mine. I'm not, I am on the keyboard. Hey! Apple! 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 Oh, the dog. I feel like playing with controller is definitely better, but I'm also not sure my hands would know how to. Oh my Jesus Christ! Leave me alone! That is rude. Oh shit. Well then. We got close. To be fair, this isn't... We can probably do this potionless. Not the whole thing. We've used potions before today. On this run. I say run. I'm not running. I'm sauntering at best. But I say we can. Oh yeah, we also have this. I say if it doesn't take me 7 years to beat this. I keep on readjusting my glasses. Probably Cyclops and Full Moon Tracker. Probably. Because those are, maybe Cornman. Because those are the three that I know how to technically choose them. But I can't do it consistently. Which does make it slightly pointless. They've got their glowing baguettes. I haven't actually had a baguette in a while. I haven't had Tiger's loafing. Now I want Tiger's bread. I crave the crust. Never let me say that again. Just don't. Just don't. Weird, because I don't actually like crust on a lot of things, unless it's cylindrical in some way, shape, or form. I don't know why. The shape of the bread matters when it comes to crust. Because, like, okay, hear me out. Loaf of bread, like sliced bread. Crust is just bad. It's just bad. I don't know what it is. It just is. It's just worse than, like, any other bread. Oh, 2 have glowing baguettes. 2 of them. 2 of them like their food. The other 2 not so much, apparently. I'm not sure how to feel about that. I very much like my bread. I do like my bread. Sometimes the bread... I've been getting into marmalade recently. Not recently, over the past, like, several months. Why are some of them, like, jellies? Because, like, there's slightly solid kind of, like, jam texture, right? Where it's, like, it's not sludging around. But it's, like, you can still spread it. They're putting gelatin and exorbitant amounts in these motherfuckers. I mean, like, ah, yeah, spread that around on your toast. Go on. God damn. I also got one recently that I thought would be very citrusy, and it's not, and I'm disappointed. I like citrus. I really do. I also, recently I've been watching a lot of like because I kind of just stopped. One of the ones that I've been watching a lot of has been Taskmaster. And I knew that with like people that had like actual English accent, they put like R's at the end of things like or like saw, store, right? I didn't know they did it for raw. So I was just happily listening, and then I just hear roar, or like, I don't I don't know how it's managed, really. I don't know how you managed to do that. But they did. But they did. Ah. Like, oh, text me when you start on drawing, then just doesn't. Oh god, why do you do this? Right, stop getting handsy, it's weird. Weird. I don't need my entire torso crushed. Not your mandibles. Not your you just grabbed me out of the fucking air. Bitch, give me the banana. Give it to me. I need sustenance. This is so chaotic. My eyes can't keep up. I'm not processing anything. What the fuck is happening? Oh my god, that dude just fell over. I processed something. Oh my god. Alright, oh yeah, this is a hard level to complain when it's hard. Plain bitch. Same thing, really. Are they? I don't know, I feel like they're not. No, stop grabbing me out of the air. I'm not a bird. My ribs, it's a. I have bad. Maybe it's not because I have bad posture. It's just decided no. It saw me and it said no. Now it's just tried to grab me. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. Aha. We're, I would say close, but I also don't want to die, so. We're close to the start of the fight, really. The wings is a grating noise on my earlobe. Yeah, fuck you, bitch. Okay, let's fuck you. Oh, mind you. Not mind you. Yeah. Did Rami just get a crit? Okay. Your feely hands again? Somebody's gonna send you to prison for that one day, prick. You're like, oh yeah, there were touchy-feely hands on the floor. I watched them put them there. You're not gonna survive like this. Sorry. it's just not gonna work. You're just feeling up everybody's toes. It's weird. If you're that desperate, just go on the internet. Well, I don't think know what the internet is, to be fair. Look at the state of your walls. Covered in blood. We're ignoring the carpet of corpses. Oh, it's Biva! Oh. How do you do? Welcome. To lead accusing this fictional character. Crime. The feely fingers. This fellow's trying to touch some toes. I don't like it. Oh. This is gonna take a minute because I cannot get hit again. It cannot happen, I will die. I don't want to go through that. No. Fire gecko. Pardon character change? I mean, multiple months ago, Piff. Oh my god! It's not a long game. This is the second last boss. It takes, like, on average about 6 hours for me to complete a character. Or if I'm feeling spicy. But yeah, no, I have not finished the insane mode because that is insane, and infuriating. Get dunked on, motherfucker. Get dunked on with an axe to the face. I just really needed to ask him a question. Yeah, bitch. I don't want to die. Oh my god. So stressful. This is far too stressful. Because it's like, goddamn, that's multiple minutes of my life that I'd have to try and relive and would never get back because of this fucking bitch. No. Die. Please, just fall over. Just let me ask you a question. Hey! Why have you sent me a Paimon email? No, I like my axe. Why Paimon? Oh, we're going in. Okay. You know what? I appreciate that health bar. I really do. I really do. So it's definitely going to be closer to the hour mark for this. rather than the very, very forgiving 10 minutes. Are you ready? Fuck no. Oh, suddenly I do really like my health bar. No, I do appreciate that. Oh my god, I've figured out the strat, boys. Shit. Okay. Yeah. I love this. I love it. Ayy. What I don't love is this. I don't remember which one's which. It's okay. Blue is magic. Blue is magic. Red's melee. Blue is Bladrick. Red is Rayleigh. Red is fuck you, bitch. POV, the bubble witch hath arrived. POV, the bubble bitch arrived. Yeah, baby. A change. Need you to make another circle. Need you to. Okay, I need you to go left without having bitch slapped me. Appreciate. Or this, yeah, that's also. There we go. Oh my god. Michael Bublé! Ah, yes. The musician Michael Bublé is really changed, everybody. Oh my god. Did my depth perception work one of these days, please? What the word? Here we go. I don't remember what eyes is in any other language. But Masul. Eyes and walk is very similar. Also water and fish. Ishka and Isk. Oh my god, slow down, broski. My Bublé bro? What are you doing? Oh my god. Could my eyes work? Fuck no. Apparently not. You're a bitch. Hogan? I don't speak German. Oh my god. Who could have ever foreseen this of coming? Okay, listen here, you crap. They're gonna... I specifically hate this bit because I still don't know how you're supposed to fight him. Because you, like, without getting injured. Like, he does his little bit of... I know, right, it's eyes in German. Yes, I could kind... I could kind of tell from context clues. But there was just this tap dance. Unfortunately, I can't do that. In game or in real life. I don't know what causes that to happen. And that goes fuck all. One of you start dropping sandwiches, but not actual sandwiches, but like food snacks. I would like a snack. It's more from here. I do like food. Depends on the food. I specifically like pasta. I like a lot of pasta. Imagine how scary this would be IRL. Oh, I would be shitting myself. Imagine how Gender would react to a giant floating spider that shat out other creatures that attacked you and tried to rip your scalp off. Okay, we might be about to die. Pasta? Correct. Pasta's good. Pasta's love, pasta's life. This guy is not love or life. I'm pretty sure he's partially dead, actually. Well, when you goop like that, God, correct. Why's God killed Gender? What did they do? Hey! He's still alive, congratulations. Sorry, something demanded my attention. Briefly. Oh my god! I just want my eyes to work. I'm not even sure if it's just my eyes. I think it's mainly my hand-eye coordination, but you know. Listen here, you fucking cunt. You piece of floating frog shit. You do look kind of froggy. Oh my, let me jump, you bitch. My hand aches. It has been too long since I've done this. Too intensive. Oh, we're gonna die. Sorry. No, like to the spider. Yes. I got it. Does the sarcasm not translate as well when you can't see my face? That happened? This is A-okay. Definitely. Yeah. Fuck. Yep. I don't want to do this again. Oh, I don't want to do this either. It's fine. Okay. I thought they were 5. Well then, guess I'll just cry myself to sleep. I have a tiny golden axe. I don't know where I got it from. It's wooden, it's just spray painted gold, and I didn't make it. So I don't know who— that fucking gremlin ass face. Look at that face. Rose, this is the chair you need to make. That's the chair. Oh shit. Pigs? What? Face. don't know which part of that. Got lost. Bucky? I didn't mention that. What? Axe. No, it's minuscule. It is like not. It is barely longer than my middle finger. I feel like if Bucky was to make an axe, then it would be it would be huge. You know? I feel like that's just the type of thing that he would do. Oh wait, does that count as melee? Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're doing a bit better. Oh fucking. This bit used to be fucking simple. It used to be so easy. Just follow him around. Oh hello Nightbot. Wrong face. Nightbot love of my life. Oh. Nightbot doesn't enjoy ghosting people. Okay, what we're gonna do here instead of in the middle of one of the next bits is I'm gonna bend my wrist backwards. Make sure nothing pops out. I didn't know that all of the tiny bones in there could crack, but apparently they can. Do you know that all of the tiny bones in the base of your hand can pop if you try hard enough? Don't. It's genuinely very uncomfortable feeling. But it can happen. I hate this guy with all of my heart. He is a bitch and deserves to be in a ditch. What causes that? What causes him to just kind of drift? I don't. Does anybody know? I'm assuming it's a thing that can be forced. I'm guessing anyway. I don't want to make an ass out of the both of us. All of us? I don't know. The group of us? Fuck if I know. Fuck if I know. Yeah, it lasts until he gets to the wall. Listen here, you peak ever-loving type. Sorry if I'm breathing on the microphone a little. Don't have a windshot for it, considering it's on a headset. Why is the radiator on? That's the first. What? Okay. Yep. I know what just happened. Definitely. Definitely. I understand. I feel like I do want to know the lore behind the dead body. I want to know why the corpse and crown is. Like, who was that? Huh? What happened there, mate? Oh, we're in no better of a position after that. We're in fact, I believe, the exact same position as we were. Just one day. Castle Crashers War. I mean, probably. This is too much effort. Oh fuck, what do I do? What do I ever do if I like fracture a finger or something? Because that happened when I was like 12. Probably like 10-ish. Yeah, about 10. Oh shit. Hey yo, my broski. If I do this, will you... You will! Cry, I guess? Yeah, fair. No, because I had to... Fun fact about... I fractured my index finger on my left hand playing Gaelic football when I was 10. And... I couldn't... Okay, well, fuck me, I guess. To get the mobility back in it because it was in a splint. Doctor just told me to just play video games. It was fantastic. Yeah, we'll get post. I'll cave, it's fine. It's okay, I guess. I'll end your suffering. I did not deal with it well. It hurt really bad for about 2 hours, and then we were in the hospital we had been in the hospital for like a while. Then because also, what? Oh fucking hell. When did that happen? This is why the sound needs to work. Who's that? Who do I need to thank? Well, first of all, never did, yeah, Ice Ninja for earlier. Thank you, do appreciate that. Who the fuck else, though? Where is it? 2 seconds? It did? Why didn't the sound play for me? The sound's there so that I know, not so you fuckers know. Button? Which button is it? Somebody tell me. Lord Zanderman. Thank you, I do appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying me fucking around and finding out. We'll... Lol. We'll beat this, then I'll do the guitar, then I'll practice the... Okay. Look at me go. I can plan out things. Thank you, though. Genuinely. I do appreciate it a lot. I need to play Castle Crashers more often. Oh, this is gonna take like 20 minutes. Okay, well. My guitar. Yeah, we'll get there! We'll get there! If you wish to request songs, you can, and I'll look back through it. I'll try most anything. I cannot promise it will be any good. I will also do a song, at least one song that I do actually know, so it's not too shit. Okay, we are... There we go. Yeah, broski. He always... I still don't know why they coded it like that so that he goes into the same place every single time. No matter where he is. That was some expert dodging of the balls. Of the white balls. That's a little... Are you laying eggs? Oh my god, he really is a frog. That is a frog there, my guy. Or maybe a... Oh my god, or a spider. The lore. It just continues. I mean, technically spiders is because they wrap it in a web thing, but still. Still. Oh, that's a frog boy. And that's an ugly boy. Can you use magic on this version of him at all? Because I'm just saying that would make my life a lot easier. Oh my god, you can! Suddenly this fight got a whole lot easier. Oh my god, genuinely. That's the... Did he shit his minions? Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what he does. Yeah, he shits them out. Like a Giga Chad. Frog boy shitting out is... Yeah, no, they just drop off his back half. His lower end. Oh, can you also... You can! Oh my gosh. Oh, we want... Mr. Orange. Oh, ooh, nice. I'm discovering things that I'll be able to use like 3 times. I'll forget about them. That does help for insane though. That was a lot quicker. I know! That was so much speedier. Because suddenly I need... Almost like I agree. Okay, you didn't have to do that. I thought you were gonna do the other one first. Is posterior. Yes. Okay. Well, that's just not nice. Could you walk in a straight line, please? I don't get to this bit of it enough to be able to predict his movement. Hey! Okay, so it doesn't line up with... It lines up with me? Fine. I'll figure it out. This one's not going to be quite as fast. This one's gonna take a bit longer. Could you perchance? Oh, you can! Ah! Okay, you have to line it up really precariously, but you can stab it in the air. Okay, not easily. Okay, it just doesn't line up with me at all. That's fine. This is now practice. I need to blink. That's the thing I need to do. Whoopsie. It's okay. Does he line? No, he doesn't line up the same way every time. Because then he... Oh no. Okay, listen to the trick. Could you stop being a nuisance? My guy, please. I need this. You know how cool this day has just gotten? Actually, how incredibly warm this day has gotten. Wait, remember. My god, I'll get to take off one of my 4 layers. Guys, this doesn't happen that often. I'm very cold all the time. I'm consistently freezing. I've horrific circulation. Fun fact, does make it that when I get too warm, I get too warm and I stay too warm until somebody sticks an ice cube down my back, which is always a delight. If I just puff it, okay. But don't just puff it. Yeah! Yeah! Can confirm. Hey. We win these! It only took... We're gonna be generous and say an hour, because I was probably talking for 13 minutes at the start. It only took an hour to visit. That's fine. We do now know how to beat the last dude, though. Copious amounts of magic. 10 out of 10. Hell yeah! But yes, if there are any song requests, I am glad to take them. Once again, they might turn out shit. But yeah. I do know how to play guitar. How often do you stream Castle Crashers? It depends. Like, I stream a lot of things, and sometimes I would say at least a couple times a month, because if I go any more specific than that, then we're like, I would say this is actually probably only the 2nd time this month. January has not been a very Castle Crashers month. But yeah, it depends on how achy my joints are, because it takes the shit out of my wrist. That is probably partially on how I've got everything set up, but yeah. But yeah, I do strategy games. I didn't say that right. Like Civ. I do other stuff. I do Minecraft. Civ, Minecraft, Endless Legend. Submerge, I'm doing. Yeah. I do Castle Crashers a lot more often when I start characters, but I've currently technically got a challenge and insane mode going on, which I do need to finish at least one of them. I'm stuck on Lava World in both of them. I'm trying to beat it without any of the skill points with Orange Knight. So that's nice. And definitely going well. Hello, welcome back. We finished! And now I get to play guitar. Yeah, kiss the princess. Hey. It is I've become attached to this song. Whether that's through some convoluted form of like almost Stockholm syndrome or what, I don't know. But oh, I've accidentally knocked a scab loose. That's fun. Spinny Ninja. I used to play Mini Ninja with my sister. I miss that. Mini Ninja. That was not right. It's been a couple years. It's okay. Tiny wound. It bleeds so much in such a short amount of time. It wasn't not actually that much blood, but it's like surprising for the amount of space the actual injury to. Anyway, oh my god, we're gonna edit this. There we go. There we go. So yeah, this is what we're gonna be doing for a couple minutes. But yeah, if there are any requests, send them. If there aren't, that's also fine. Is that in tune? Is it? No, it isn't. Give me a second eye. Can't really hear that. Hello, Piff. I have missed your emotes. Oh, it's G that's out. Oh, why is it on G sharp? Gonna guess I pinned it there by accident. I hope. That was G again. No, I cannot tune by ear. Better. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go into the filters. We're going to turn off the noise gate. And we're gonna hope that that does. Enough? Does that do enough? Oh god, you can hear my breathing. I'm gonna move it away from my face. Give me a second. Because it does make a noise when I grab it, so. Okay, it has been pulled away from my face. Hopefully you can't hear as much as my breathing. You can still hear my breathing. Delightful. You can no longer hear my breathing. Fantastic. Okay. I'm gonna guess the complete and utter silence other than the, like, banjo frogs? Was that banjo frogs? Or bongo frogs. Oh. Okay. So we'll do the usual of like real people do, and then I'll do like 3-ish, probably. Why you no longer work? Okay. I need to tune it down for that. We'll figure it out. Okay. Let me just get my face closer to the guitar. Fuck, it's been a minute. Uh-huh. I had a thought, dear, however scary, about that night, the bugs and the dirt. Why were you digging? What did you bury before those hands pulled me from the earth? I will not ask you where you came from. I will not ask, and neither could you. Honey, just put your sweet lips on my lips. We should just kiss like real people do. It's been a minute since I played this song, if you could not tell. I knew that look, dear, eyes always seeking, was there in someone that dug long ago. I will not ask you why you were creeping in some sad way, I already know. I will, fucking hell. I will not ask you where. No, I've embarrassed myself with that one. I will not ask you where you came from. Give me a second, I'm seeing if I can figure out the strumming pattern. Oh, thank you, Piff. But it's at 126. Give me a second. Oh, I need to plug in my laptop as well. Oh wait, no, I can just drag that out. Look at me go. Yeah, okay. I'm going to attempt, I don't remember the name of the song, All of Me. Haven't actually listened to this song in a while, so this is gonna be a treat, I assure you. Oh, fuck, it's got fucking 9s. That's fine. I'm here. Hello, cicada. We're gonna abandon the strumming pattern because it's shit, okay? What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out. Got my head spinning, no kidding. I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? I'm on your magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. You're my, love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me. I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. 'Cause I give you all of me. Fuck, and you give me all of you. Oh, that was painful. How many times do I have to tell you? Even when you're crying, you're beautiful too. The world is beating you down. I'm around through every mood. You're my downfall, you're my muse, my worst distraction, my rhythm and blues. I can't stop singing, it's ringing in my head for you. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. Fuck, fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your... Fuck, I fucked that up. All your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me. I'll give my all to you. That note was so very off. Please ignore that, now I'm winning. 'Cause I give you all of me. Oh, and you give me all of you. Ooh. Cards on the table, we're both showing hearts. Risking it all, though it's hard. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. 'Cause I give you all of me. Fuck that, and you give me all of you. Ooh. Why have you said quiz? I will look up Soldier Poet King though. Don't actually have a tab saved for that one. Thank you, Rose. But let's see. Second question, Skater. That was All of Me by John Legend. We are doing It's been quite a while since I've heard that song. I know, right? We are doing we hit the follicle. We hit 153, and it's gonna be really awkward if anybody's unfollowed. It would be really awkward, like, oh shit, they've started singing, fuck this. But yeah, genuinely though, I very much like that song, I just can't fucking sing it right. As you could tell by that. Ah! Fucking hell. Okay. How fast does it want you to change from bar chord? Oh my god. The mess ups made it better? Yay. My fuck ups have finally accomplished something. Yeah, baby. There will come a soldier who carries a mighty sword. Okay, Soldier Poet King by the Ohalos. I very much like them. Good band. Good band. Listen to them. I'm gonna do another one of their songs after this. I've decided. There will come a soldier who carries a mighty sword. He will tear your city down, Olay, Olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. He will tear your city down, Olay, Olay, O Lord. My voice doesn't go high enough for this, it's fine. There will come a poet whose weapon is his word. He will slay you with his tongue, Olay, Olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. He will slay you with his tongue, Olay, Olay, O Lord. This is not as long without the instrumental breaks. There will come a ruler whose brow is laden thorn, smeared with oil like David's boy. Olay, Olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. Smeared with oil like David's boy. Olay, Olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. He will tear your city down. What the fuck? Oh. The rest of the song is literally just that, and a lot of olays and no lies. But no, wait, there's another song that I do have saved and have done before. Not very well, but oh fuck, it's all the really bad chords. It's fine. It's a-okay. What the fuck? What? Ooh, capo. Where's the capo go? No capo. That was quite nice. On the mountain top. Fucking hell. Is it the other way around? No, it's that way around. I don't know why they've done it like this. On the mountain top, whisper to me words in a voice so small. What the fuck? Like the one that to Elijah called, quiet as the candle, bright as the morning sun. Though the fire and wind shattered down the hills with rage unbent, and a fear that shook the firmament, he was not within them. The clatter of brass and drums. Oh, I know you want me to be afraid. I know you want me to love you. I know you want me to be afraid. I know you want me to love you. Still the wild wind blows up at the grave of an angry ghost, firing bricks from broken cannons and prose to build a wall so high it reaches the heavens in the sky. Oh, what the fuck is that chord? I know you want me to be afraid. I know you want me to break my fingers. What the fuck? Be afraid. I know you want me to love you. Still you beat your drums, raising holy war with every strum, shouting down the quiet kingdom come, brushing at your fingers, open you'll come around. Haha. That is genuinely horrific chords. And at least 3 of them were wrong. But it's fine. Okay, now we're in guitar mood. Okay, there's one I kind of want to do, but I do need to retune the guitar. So do I really want to do it? Whisper to me words in a voice so small. We're doing car lights instead. Oh, no, can I actually play car lights though? Okay, we're gonna do it without the strumming pattern because I definitely can't do it with that. It is basically bar chord after bar chord after bar chord. I'm gonna try not to break my wrist. Enjoy. Let me look at the chords first. Why am I here? Could you come instead? I'm 10 good miles out of my depth. Some more fake smiles, I'll just nod my head for one small glimpse of your breath. Stained shirts and cigarettes, I failed again, tried my best. Forget my fears, ignore all my frets, just lay your mind on my chest. You seem like the kind of guy to play me, tonight. I hate what you're doing, I hate that it feels so right. You're sure we're out of their sight. They're staring through the car lights. I hate what you're doing, I hate that it feels so. But I'm in your garden again until it's full. Conversations that started, what should this be? Don't you be so startled that I wanted more. I could answer your troubles if you let me in. I'd stay out here for longer, but it's just too cold. With nowhere to hide us, it won't come true. A call for the finish before we get old. And you sicken the tone with fuck, that was the wrong chord. With where you've been, you seem like the kind of guy to play me tonight. I hate what you're doing, I hate that it feels so right. Sure we're out of their sight. They're staring through the colors. I hate what you're doing, I hate that it feels so. I'm not scared, there's nothing to run from. I'm not scared, there's nothing to run from. Well, I feel like I'm falling for someone. I feel like I'm falling for someone. I'm not scared, there's nothing to run from. I'm not scared, there's nothing to run from. Well, I feel like I'm falling for someone. I feel like I'm falling for someone else. You can hold my hand in a crowded place, but just hold me close and hope that they don't see my face. Why don't you come right here? Let's see how you taste. Then just hold me close and hope that they don't see my face. I can't breathe. Okay. It's not sad, considering my lungs are giving up on me. I like yelling that. It's cathartic. It's a good song. And now, you don't have to listen to it again for probably another couple months. Maybe. Maybe. I might change my mind. Who knows? Go back. Okay. So, we are going to go back to Castle Crashers. We are going to try some speedy strats. Because I know a couple, but I don't know them well enough to actually know them, right? So we're gonna practice them. I'm gonna turn the thing back on my microphone so that you can't hear me. Isn't that gonna be lovely? Isn't that delightful? It can't hear me breathing most of the time. Right? So there we go. Oh, I turned my laptop volume on. I think it was about 35. That's probably about right. Right. Okay, so, actually, I say we do it on Blue Night, because really that's the one we're struggling with most, right? That's the one we're having the most trouble with. And it's the one we're doing insane on as well. So we're gonna go... Cyclops. First one's at Cyclops. I haven't actually played Blue Knight in so fucking long. It's coming... It feels like coming home. Oh my... I do damage again. Yeah, fuck you, bitch. Unsurprisingly, when your character's at level 99, and it is that easy. Yep. Suddenly, this section is a lot easier when it's not on insane. This is so simple. This is... Yeah, to be fair, we want it to be simple. It's just Cyclops that we need to get to. Just the fella. Yeah, fuck you. That didn't even... It got the guy that was a bystander, not even the fella that was taking the brunt of the damage. But yeah, okay. This guy, because I know it works, I just don't know how to make it consistently work. You can make this guy boogie if you try hard enough. Because there's nowhere for him to stand here. Normally he jumps not vertically. Normally it's kind of at an angle. But okay, so it definitely works, which is what I needed to know. And it works quite nicely, might I say. See, Mans is happy to die. Mans is happy to perish and be done with it. But I'm pretty sure Cornman and Full Moon are gonna be a little bit more problematic than this one. I don't know how to consistently... We don't have to do it. We don't have to kiss the princess. Averted making out with a stranger. I'm great at this. Okay, Cornman. Cornman. Corn boss. This is where you run across the bottom of it. It would have been really funny if we just stood there forever. Yeah, no, I don't know how to actually get it to work. Not like that. Okay. Teleport faster, you prick. Make this easier for me to practice. Okay, or just appear up there again. Or just do that, I guess. I guess that theoretically also works. Oh my Jesus fuck. That's that should be a saying. Oh my Jesus fuck should be a saying. It fucking... Okay. I don't know why that worked. Now is... Okay. Why do you do this so often? You just want to be a twirly little boy? I tell you. That's a prick. What's supposed to happen? It's supposed to do, like, supposed to hit him multiple times in a row. It kind of happened. I don't know why. Fucking Clothy was like, yes, do this thing. I know it happens when you're running. And if you do a tornado thing with either the polar bear or... He has to appear on the bottom line of the screen. That's why it doesn't work anywhere else on the screen. Barely works on the bottom of the screen. And you have to be running, but basically it takes a lot of damage in one go. That almost works. Go on, disappear. Like that. Oh damn, yeah. Sometimes you'll get a really long one and it'll take like half of his health. That was too fast anyway. Fuck. I know it does work when you're at the edge of the screen, it just never does for me. And I don't know how to get it to work when it doesn't. You prick. You do the other button? Like Castle Crit? Oh yeah, it's like... half the shit is like... fucking hell. Okay. I have a feeling it might be the heavy attack, not the light attack. It's the heavy attack! If you heavy attack him while running, he fucking gets demolished. There's another thing, it's like, if you hit the final boss when he's in the orbs, when he's walking left backwards, then he'll take a fuck ton of damage. If you're... yeah, because it's technically registering as you hitting him like a bajillion times. I think it's because of the... I think it's because technically one of you's moving. So it's like, it's doing it over and over again. Okay, you could have been nice. But yeah, genuinely, the amount of little tiny things that you just do not know is like astonishing. Okay, well. Okay, Corn Man, you vegan. And now it's just not working. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, is the problem. I don't know why it's not working half the time. Don't know if that's just a thing. Fucking hey. We have time left. Okay. It's okay. Alright, it's okay, it's alright, it's okay. Hey! It stops when he puts his things up. His leaves. Yeah, baby. Ever played Battle Block Theater? No. No, I have not. I know what it is. Kind of. Hey! That's what we wanted to happen. Taking out like a quarter of the dude's health in one is very nice. I mean, technically things like that and like the full moon thing are for speedrunning, but they do help immensely with insane runs. Like there, I think. Because the buff dude can't hit you when you're in a very precarious spot. So you just get to beat the shit out of him. Just get to take his kneecaps and remove them for your own personal gain. It's delightful and makes the whole thing so much easier. Come on. Get down here. Come on. You know you want to. I think somebody did explain this one to me. It's because it's at like 0. Okay. It's at like 0, 0, and for some reason they can't hit you at 0, 0. Okay, no. I think it's because they're not supposed to be able to hit you at the start of the level. But they've also accidentally set other things to 0, 0. Either that, you're just slightly out of bounds. I don't know. No, because the small guys can still hit you. Yeah, come on. Come on, big boy. Come on, follow me down the mountain. You know you want to. I do think they have to be on the slope above you. I believe, at the very least. Yeah, okay. Then that's that one. Really the one we're having the most trouble with is corn. Which is quite saddening. We don't have to do the rest of the level. I don't want to do the rest of the level. We're gonna be practicing corn for a little bit. Because, I mean, what else would we do with our lives? Other than look at this delicious fellow. And get very tired of him very quickly. Yeah, the one downside is you have to time it really weirdly at the start. I don't know what it is about hitting the edge. So startled that I wanted more. I see your trouble, let me in. I'd be out here for longer, but it's just too cold. Nowhere to hide us, it won't come true. Get old, you're in the tone with where you've been. Yeah! Okay. Why did it not work that way? If you equip Newt, you kill him faster if you get the glitch as well. Ooh! We shall try, we shall try. Okay. Well, that's an embarrassment. really the timing. What went wrong there? What went wrong there? Fuck, timing. I don't understand. I don't get it. What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Am I going too fast? Too slow? What was different about that? So, do you have to not be against the wall? Ups your attack by 4, where the chicken only adds attack and defense and ability. Ah. Yeah. What changed? You have to do it like as he... Okay. Snoot's the elephant, right? What? What the fuck? Yeah, okay. You have to do it as he pops up? Maybe. Maybe. Okay, prick. Yeah, okay. As he pops up. What the fuck? Did it just fart at me? Is that what just happened? Did it just fart at me? I'm offended. Mortally wounded, actually. Oh. Fuck, yeah, okay. Okay. Fuck. My timing was off. Oh my god, my timing was that off? Jesus. Ooh, milliseconds. Oh, I didn't know he had a back to him. Okay, we can get this. We'll get this. A little, maybe if you do it right, it's luck as well, maybe. Hmm. Oh. Oh, okay. Like in the middle of his of his breathing. What is this? Hmm. Maybe if I just stare into space. Yes. Maybe. No. Okay, that didn't help. What changed? When he's fully up, I guess? Yeah, okay. Fully up. But not too fully up. The people that were selling me glasses tried to get me to do get contacts as well, and I was like, I think I'm fine with contacts, but I feel like having to put them in every single day would get more confusing as time goes on. I know. I know you have to be running, right? It has to be one of the rolling things. It has to be, that does the damage. But I don't know when. Oh my god, he shits himself. He shits himself. That's what the noise was. Guys, this just in, the corn shits himself. Wait, yes, I just realised. I don't generally listen that closely to the sound effect. Are you ready for this music to play in your sleep? I got used to the fast-paced endgame. Don't hit me again. Okay. I don't know what I did right there, but I did something right there. Did something wrong there. Okay. Or... Okay. I don't have to know what I'm doing if it's consistent. Is it especially fast? No. Will it be good for insane? Yes. Oh my god. Look at me go, Mom! Mom! Mom, I'm doing it! Look at me go! Okay. Well, that was... Oh shit, sorry. Sorry, I have to change something. Won't take too long. Oh, it might take a little longer. What do we want to set the next goal to, huh? Where you been? Well, we put it up by like 20 something. So 70. I'd say 77. Yeah, right here. I think it has to be in the middle bottom of the ear and end of the animation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, because I guess the animation doesn't technically count as it being there. Hmm. Now I can't stop hearing him shit himself. Only right in the middle? Yeah, fair. No. I can see how you can time that for the later ones, not really for the earlier ones though. Go on. 3, 4. Oh, that was... Hmm. That was... yeah. Too early. Or you can show up there, yeah, I guess. I guess, if it suits your fancy. Oh! Fuck. Yay. No, that's better. Hell yeah. I have so many just AA batteries on my desk. But on that note, I do have an exam that I need to study for. So thank you so much for being here, whether you've been here 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or 2 hours, 15-ish minutes. It means the world to me. Normally I try to go for a little longer, but yeah, school stuff, exhausted, all that nice shit. I do this Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. GMT. If you are also bad at time zones, so that's UK time. I do other shit quite often. I'm equally bad at everything though. Don't you worry. You'll get the same quality shit as you did here. If you're new and you have followed, thank you. It means the world to me. If you're new and you haven't, maybe consider it. Yeah. I do have a Discord, !Discord in chat, or there's a link in my about page if you want it. I think it's fun, but then again, I'm a little biased. But yeah, thank you for being here. For how long you've been here, if you talked, if you haven't, if you're new, if you're not, whether you're gonna come back or not, I do appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, have a lovely rest of your day, however long that may be, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.